As discussed in previous videos, risk and compliance are a major topic. Within procurement, the detection of fraud and compliance issues, they're not simple processes. And previously, we've talked about compliance in relation to purchasing. But what about fraud and compliance in relation to audit risk or reputational damage? Tracking and monitoring this type of risk is time-consuming and requires a lot of manual effort. Enter PwC. With their experience in this space, PwC have created an app called Procurement Compliance Scanner, which takes up this challenge in using intelligent technologies to help you manage fraud and compliance flagging, and it does it proactively. Let's discuss this. I'm welcoming Jan Herrmann from PwC today, who looks after the procurement advisory area within Germany and other MUs. Welcome, Jan.
Yeah, hello, everybody. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you very much.
No worries at all. Thank you for being here. So, Jan, we've talked about this before, but I thought I'd leverage your experience today and let you talk to the audience about the challenges that you're seeing in companies when it comes to fraud and compliance. Can you just talk about it?
Yes, of course. Thank you more for that, and to provide our view on that. Especially, we have 4 big challenges when we're talking about fraud in procurement or compliance in procurement.
Mm-hmm.
The one is all the informations and fraud and compliance issues are hidden in big data. Yeah? So everything is inside all POs, invoices, PRs, etc. And to figure that out is quite a big challenge. And therefore, you have your internal audits or you have your audits, but they only can see samples or a small view or a small glimpse of all the data and all the information.
Right.
Therefore, we said, okay, we need to see everything, and we have to get a view on all transactions around procurement to get a clear view. Do we have fraud? Do we have compliance issues or not? Normally, and this is what we recognize in the market, is that when the issue is coming up or when we find the fraud, the issues already happened. So the damage is already existing, and you can't do any more than to say, okay, yes, I have found the fraud or I have found the mistake, and then it's too late. So we want to be proactive and want to find the issues that can be arises, and then you are able to solve it immediately, and then you avoid the damage and the costs behind it and the risk.
Yeah, it's very reactive today, isn't it?
It is. So normally it's very late to figure out that there is a supplier who has not the right VAT number, or that 2 suppliers share the same bank account, or that there are issues where you have POs which get approvals from the same persons who do the approval on the PR and on the invoice. So maybe it could be a problem that you have a Porsche 911 on the space or in your fleet, which could be. Maybe we shouldn't mention that. The 4th piece, which is very important, I guess, is that that we put the right data together. So you have the ability in your ERP system, your e-procurement system, your Ariba system in the end, where you have all informations together to combine it and to create the right analysis out of that. And to have the right analysis and the right questions and the right scenarios, this is what we're providing with our tool, and put it on your e-procurement system, on your Ariba, where you are then able to have a continuous view on your fraud issues.
Yeah, so let's talk about that a bit more. I mean, how does this app fix it? What is it that it does? Just give us a bit of a kind of a functional overview, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So what we have done is to say, okay, how we can get the data to the right analysis. So we thought about the analyze structure. So we have a supplier view, we have a user view, we have a procurement view in the end on fraud. Like I mentioned before, is there are issues on approvals for a PO, for a good receipt, for an invoice. There are information in supplier master data which could be critical. It could be problems in contract data or VAT numbers, etc., etc. So what we did is we created the analysis. So we had 16 analyzers in the moment in that way, where we have the segmentation of duty, etc., and bring the data together in standardized dashboards for you. So what we bring it to a UI, which is set on your e-procurement system so that you have that available. So we do all the work, what you have in mind, in one small app, which is an integrated solution on Ariba.
Right, okay. And when you talk about those dashboards and pulling that data, etc., what kind of view? I mean, who are the stakeholders that we're talking about? Who gets to see this data? Who is it important for?
Yeah. So in the end, we're talking about proactive situations. So if the internal audit or an external auditor or maybe a lawyer is looking on that, then it's too late. Yeah. So we're building up the dashboard for procurement, for the procurement users, so that they are able to see, okay, there are 20 POs which get a red flag today because they have the wrong approval flow. Yeah, then you have the ability and the possibility to solve these issues, to figure out, okay, was it right because it was an ad hoc issue, what a technical person has to do in the plant, then it's fine. And then it's okay, he needs that, and you get a release on that, and you proactively view as a procurement guy on that issue, and you can solve it directly. So it is made for procurement guys.
Okay. Cool. And when we're thinking about this from the context of a customer and the journey that they would go through, right, in order for PwC to implement such things, because, you know, from a technical standpoint, I'm guessing that there are APIs, you need to connect to the ERP, to, you know, to the Ariba procurement solution, etc. Right. So, excuse me, there's a journey that goes along. So can you just showcase what that would look like? What are the steps that you'd have to go through?
Yeah, in the end, we did it with a very common database and very common use of transaction and tables, because all the informations are already in your systems. Yeah? So we are putting the tables out of the ERP system, out of the Ariba system, to bring the tables together in one analytics platform. So in the moment, if we use SAP Cloud or Microsoft Azure, we put there the tables together, consolidate all data, transform the data in the right manner that we can fill up our analyzer structures and our tables, so to say. Yeah? So we match the data and bring it into the right manner. And there we, of course, reduce the complexity, cleaning the data, do the data mining so that we figure out the right issues and bring it back to a very common dashboard in the end, Power BI, which is able then to structure and show all data in a very good UI, and that every guy who's responsible for it has a clear dashboard for himself to work with the data in a very easy manner. Right,
and then as I understand it, you've got two models, right? In terms of what you offer, you've got like a phase one and a phase two, correct?
Right, correct. The first one is, of course, the one-time analysis, so to say. This is where we're coming from. We said, okay, we're doing a fraud or compliance analysis in the beginning, and say, okay, give us all your data, we give you back all the issues. This is where we're coming from, the normal way, so to say. But we said, okay, this is a one-time effect and a one-time analysis, and all the client needs, and you can have it still, there's no problem. But what we said with this app, we give you the continuous possibility to do the analysis every day, every month, or every quarter by yourself, and you don't need a consultant anymore. That's not good for us sometimes, but we would like to bring our services into assets so that you have a continuous and a real-time effect on it. And this value would like to bring to you with this apps in the collaboration with Ariba and with SAP.
So I think looking at it from the perspective of a customer or a prospect, I guess, if you're about to do your internal audit, and rather than doing just a small sample like you were talking about, that's the normal process, right? You do a sample, you have a look, oh, didn't find anything, looks okay. What the one-time compliance does is looks at all of the data and looks for any kind of compliance issue throughout that current data set at that particular time on a maybe a 12-month or 24-month basis, depending on what you decide, right?
Right.
And then phase two, on the other hand, does that, but then continues it on a proactive basis so that any compliance issues are proactively raised by the system. but you can, as you were saying, you can run it on a monthly, quarterly, yearly basis, right? But if you want continuous, you would have to do it on a more regular basis, I guess, right?
Right, absolutely. And maybe a very important point for the continuous way is that you can, refuse red flags. You can say, okay, you run through the issues and you find the reason why you have done that, and maybe you solve it and it was good. You can reduce the flags in the workflow, so that when you have the new analysis of the last 12 months or 24 months, the old flags doesn't arise again. Right. So you have really a clear view on the current and the current issues the proactively way, and that you don't have always the same old structure in your systems.
Okay, and as part of the continuous piece, is the customer managing that themselves, or do you have to help with it? How does that work in an operational fashion?
Yeah. So in the end, it's a cloud solution. We will provide you the updates by the license fee you have to pay in the end. Yeah. You get new reports, you get new analyzes. If we have to change something in terms of efficiency of the system itself, then you get the new way on the cloud basis.
As releases,
right? Yeah. And in the end, you will have this cloud version. You have access to that cloud version, and you can use it by your own, and you don't need a high maintenance effort on that or anything else.
Oh, brilliant! Thank you. No, that's great. So, listen, that was a great overview, and it's something that we could talk about for a lot longer. I think for anybody who's watching this and finds this is an interesting piece, which I know a lot of organizations will, because this challenge affects everyone, and everybody's dealing with it in various different ways. This automates it, right? And kind of really helps internal audit and the compliance areas of the business and the risk areas of the business. Thank you, Jan. Thank you for your time. Appreciate your insight. And yeah, we will be talking again soon.